Hello, and welcome back to another legendary episode of course, the one and only Speculation Alley. It's your boy A-Bomb here, and of course with me is my boy, Crypto Dilly. What's up, brother?
What is going on, dude? Just super stoked. I got Wagme over the shoulder. We got the new Kagami on the display shelf. We're ready to rip. Let's
Bro, your display shelf is looking magnificent. I can't wait in like a year. You're just gonna be like surrounded by all these amazing sculptures and like items that you've collected through this new frontier that we're in.
dude, I'm stoked. I am gonna just keep collecting all the physicals and get as many digitals as I can too.
Well, this is actually a perfect segue into what we may be seeing then, and collecting or a collector's item known as a Kabuki Mask that I want to get into. So, first of all, let's just jump into this content that we have for everyone today and what we want to jump in. It's a Kabuki Mask, and if you don't know what that is, I'm going to give you a quick definition of it. A Kabuki mask is a type of traditional Japanese mask used in the Kabuki theater. Even though it's a mask, Kabuki is a form of theater that originated in Japan in the 17th century and is known for its elaborate costumes, makeup, and highly stylized performances. Already kind of leads me into a little bit of 10KTF vibe, right? So essentially, DaniT from the 10KTF and World of Women community, shout out to them, dropped this awesome tweet that just had my mind just running a mile a minute, which was essentially the theory and speculation that maybe the PFPs that we will get will be a mask. You won't essentially actually get a PFP, you'll get a mask. And I thought about this and I thought, okay, first of all, if you go to the Twitter of Wagme-san and you see his banner, it has in the background of the younger Wagme-san as well, these masks in the back. We've seen these in the older version of Wagme-san's shop as well. So maybe it's that alpha in plain sight, maybe so. And as well, I thought, well, interestingly enough, we've kind of speculated a little bit, what kind of PFPs are we going to see from the 10KTF community? It's kind of odd, no, to have a PFP, a new avatar, enter this ecosystem when they are sort of like the entity that onboards the PFPs into their ecosystem. So maybe a mask would make a lot more sense then. You're not actually changing the core IP then. You're actually just putting this mask on to, or adding it, almost Gucciifying it with this mask, this Kabuki mask, which if you look up all these different types of Kabuki masks too, there's everything from like very basic to extremely, in-depth and like detailed sort of design. So I'm curious, bro, what are your thoughts on this? Are we getting Kabuki Mask for PFP NFTs?
I think that'd be a really cool play. And obviously, the first run at basically stylizing all these PFPs into a different capacity happened with Gucci, right? And they had to build out every single one of these individual NFTs with a Guccification, right? Like they didn't know who was going to be able to mint that NFT. So the behind the scenes of that is actually really complex. And so when I think about a Kabuki mask and like what that would look like, if you have a cool cat or if you have a wizard or you have these different PFPs that are actual parents of 10KTF, and then you add in a mask, it becomes really complicated as far as the permutations that would be required to do that. And we knew 10KTF Yuga is definitely capable of doing something at that capacity. The only caveat that I throw into this is that Kabuki Mask's already seen within the Oni Force collection, which is also a parent of 10KTF. And so when you're thinking about layering masks, that's the only complication that I see with this. But I think it's such a unique twist that it is possible that the Kabuki masks are the play to basically identify and represent 10KTF all across the Web3 space.
Yeah, I love I love when we poke holes in each other's theories because it keeps us honest, right? We're not just like recklessly pumping our bags, but absolutely, people, please, hashtag pump our bags. That's what we're here for. So, but I think that's an interesting thought is that, we do see even with other collections as well, there are, face attributes or little things that are on there. And that's something interesting that you point out, which what we saw with the Gucci, sort of the Guccification, which was if your character, like my Oni, has a Kitsune mask on, right? So like they didn't remove that mask and then put the Gucci stuff. That didn't take, the Gucci did not take priority over the core thing. So with what you're talking about, with what we knew has the ability to do, right, with what their tech can do, like randomized like attributes and being aware of these things, maybe they can sort of add an element in there to be aware that if there is sort of something that's major on the face, that the mask is more like added, there's a detail added onto that rather than it taking over the full, attribute. What are your thoughts?
One thing that, I mean, what is really interesting about the Gucci collection, right? Whenever we did the Gucci Grails, you had the Oni Force collection is a side profile, right? Cool Cats are forward facing. You have Bored Apes that are, there's a lot of different angles that they're actually playing with to be able to create that collection. And I think that's where I'm talking about the permutations. So if
Right.
that theory is concrete, then obviously whoever is stylizing the Oni Force collection, you could just layer the masks on top of each individual PFP, which would require a lot of actual like effort to go through and ensure that that is stylized correctly. But they're already going to be doing this if this theory is correct. So I think it actually has a lot of merit. I think it is a very strong possibility that those Kabuki masks that we see in the background of Wagmi-san's shop when he's much younger, it's a strong possibility that's a representation, and they can do a lot of lore and story and role playing into the creation behind the story of those masks and what they mean. So I think I love it. I also think 10KTF, just what we saw with Gucci. I mean, you look at Andrew Wang's like Cool Cat that's upside down. They ensured that they even had the one of ones within collections Guccified. So if they're that, they have that attention to detail with each individual collection, it's an extremely exciting idea. My only other concern would just be that they're adding more and more parents into the 10KTF ecosystem. So it
Right.
gets more and more complicated because now you have Deadfellas, you're getting into like Chimpers, you have all these different parents that have to be added. And so at what end do they roll this out? What does the timeline look like in your opinion?
So I think it will be a little bit more basic in the beginning, like almost thinking it is like if you just reveal a certain type of mask, right? So if you just see just the mask, like it's not actually paired with your PFP, and thinking maybe down the line, once some of this stuff is run through the mill a little bit, stuff being the mechanics and the tech, where they can now pair and understand like the permutations of how to actually put this mask on this character, whether it be like hanging from them, whether it be like on the side of their face. Like we've seen different anime characters wear masks differently at like different festival events, like when they're not actually wearing it on their face, they'll put it to the side, on the back of their head, whatever the heck. So I think there's a lot of options. I'm just kind of curious maybe how they play that out, but I don't know. I just think it's a really interesting possibility. I think about the cat mask that we see in old Wagmi-san's shop and how important his cat is to him, and thinking like if that's like a one of one mask and how valuable that like PFP mask would be in just the 10KTF community ecosystem of lore, and our community being like, I got the cat mask, you know what I mean, or I got the kaiju mask. Like that'd be nuts.
I mean, Kabuki masks have been a part of the 10KTF story from the beginning, so it would be an interesting tie-in. And I guess the last question before we kind of close things out would be: do you believe we're going to burn a G tag to get this Kabuki mask? Is that
I
the
do. I
series of
think that's it.
progression?
I think that's it. I think it's also going to be something where maybe he's going to make these masks out of broken items potentially, and the G tag will help mend the broken shards into.
Kintsugi?
Yes, we're going to pull some kintsugi out, and we're going to use the G tag as some sort of like mending material to kintsugi some of these masks together, and each one will be. That's why each one will be a unique one of one, because no item broke exactly the same or was used with the exact same amount of you know G tag, whatever. So you can use one G tag, two or three, and maybe you get a more refined or detailed mask, depending on how many G tags you burn to get the PFP.
I love it, man. I like it. It's great speculation. Thank you, DaniT, for spilling the tea and giving us some good ideas on some speculation. If you have speculation, definitely comment below what your ideas are, and maybe we'll make a next episode about that. If you enjoyed this episode, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel, and every Wednesday we do a Twitter Spaces where we actually dive more deep into this topic with the community. So join us on our Twitter space. But that's it for Speculation Alley. Thank you for joining A-Bomb and myself on this week's episode, and we'll see you next week in the next video. Peace.